like The Wizard of Oz, had a really fucking creepy vibe when I was younger.
The witch. Yeah, probably the Munchkins were a little aggressive.
A little
with Dorothy.
handsy.
A little handsy.
And a lot of cancer.
Little
Oh,
handsy.
The
Little
snow.
handsy.
Little handsy.
Little handsy.
The snow.
The Munchkins were a little
I'm trying to get
handsy.
past the
No, Eddie, you will
No,
not
Ed,
get past
you
it.
said
You fucking land right on that
Little
bitch. Sarah.
hands.
Little handsy.
Little hands.
Cue the music. Welcome to the Sofa Kingdom Podcast Holiday Edition Halloween episode with your host, Nelson.
Ian.
Alright, so as you can see, we figured we'd get in our holiday attire.
We're in the spirit.
So we've got, Obi-Wan Kenobi, we've got,
Lord Luther.
and Ed.
Obviously a sage wizard.
You literally stole it before I got done.
Listen, he wears that shit to the grocery store. That is not a costume. That is a
It's
Saturday
everyday garb.
attire. Yeah.
Everyday walk around with.
No, I'm actually I'm happy for Halloween this time of year. I enjoy it. I've actually grown to enjoy it differently from when I was a younger kid. Because when I was younger, it was all about like All Hallows Eve, Devil's Night, causing some damage, being an asshole, throwing eggs at people, shaving cream at your friends.
I still love it for all that.
Yeah.
It's my favorite holiday.
Yeah. I haven't TP'd a house in a long time, so I mean, I'm down. If you guys absolutely know someone you hate, let's do it.
Haven't run into anyone that would deserving enough in recent years.
I'm sure we can find some.
I have a list.
All I'm saying is we don't record it. We'll just tell the story afterwards, and I think that's the best
I heard
way to
from
do
a
it.
friend.
Yeah. Really bad. I can't believe the childishness that happened.
We're looking at you, Margo.
Yeah. We're coming for you. So, alright, as we usually do, I wanted to talk about something that I got into actually just last night. Came out on HBO Max on, I believe, the 21st, Thursday. It was Dune.
Oh.
And man, I really, really enjoyed it. I felt like they did a great job as far as aesthetically and storytelling. They didn't rush anything. They knew, hey, this is going to be a long, drawn-out story, kind of like the Lord of the Rings kind of a vibe. But it also gave me like a 300 kind of a vibe, too. The way that they did some of the camera shots and the way that they did some of the storytelling, like with the dream sequences and then fading into reality. And
It's so good. In fact, I think people overlook Dune. Dune is like one of the better science fiction masterpieces over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great book. It was a great movie the first time they did it.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart was in it. There were so many people that were in that movie when you watch it. I mean, it was... I loved the first one, and I thought HBO, I thought even the newer generation of... I mean, the guy playing Paul Mordib,
Yes.
I didn't know him. I don't know what he's from prior to this, but I thought he did a great job, too.
Yeah, the cast was perfect. The people playing the roles, like I feel like it really has the potential to be like the next big franchise if done correctly with movie 2 or 3, however they go.
The Harkonnens are scary, man.
Oh yeah, I mean Dave
They
Bautista.
did a good job, yeah.
Oh, that one motherfucker! I don't even know why he's so tall. Why he floats?
Oh, the Baron?
Yeah.
Yes. Holy hell, that was good.
It's just nice to see that the theme that you see going on in streaming with being able to take the amount of time to tell the story that you need to take is moving into movies as well, because it was always very much like, well, it needs to be cut for time to this specific amount, and you would always hear directors complaining about how much was left on the cutting floor. So for that kind of coming into the theaters as well is like, look, here's the story. Instead of removing all the stuff that makes sense once you have the whole story, and trying to weed out which parts are the most necessary, just tell the actual story.
And the first Dune, even though it was like 3 hours and some change, I actually, the movie, when you watch the first one, it's a good movie. it just feels rushed. It's over 3 hours and it still feels rushed.
Yeah.
Right.
And the author of the book even said they left stuff out.
Sure.
So I'm hoping the way they go into it with this one, I hope they actually do it justice and
Right.
put in what needs to be put in.
The only problem I had
Oh, here we go.
with the movie
Here we go.
was the fact that they paid Zendaya for like 10 talking roles, like
10 lines?
10 lines, and I was like, she just did like the glamour shot and the, I'm fading away with, no, you're a highly paid actress, say some shit.
Budget cuts, man.
Budget cuts.
Any random person.
Yeah. Like, I could have used to see a little more Dave Bautista fight scenes.
Yeah.
But I think that honestly, the movie was done perfectly, and it left you wanting more, but not in a bad way, because they even cut the story in a way where it's like, it was kind of satisfying. They left it at a good point.
Them sandworms don't fuck around.
No, man.
Shiny Lude.
And I knew she was gonna ride that sandworm. She had them hooks out. I was like, she's about to ride it, and then they stabbed her. I was like, that's anticlimactic. My bad.
Spoiler alert!
In reverse.
Damn.
You'll know it when it happens, and sorry, you should have watched it. What about you guys? Anything new?
I went to a concert the other night that was
Alright.
Halloween themed. For the first time in my life, I saw Slipknot. I saw Slipknot
Nice.
last minute decision. My buddy was like, hey, actually the guy that did our buddy that was on the show, Matt Hilton, did the,
Nice.
does our little thing when he opens up. Yep. He said, hey man, you want to go to the show? I was like, I wasn't really doing much. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. I haven't seen Slipknot live. Unbelievable.
That's what's
If
up.
you have not seen Slipknot live yet, definitely go if you're a little messed up and you're
Sure.
But oh man, it
You're
was.
into anarchy.
Oh yeah, they had other bands that came out like Killswitch Engage and stuff, but
Oh, nice.
Corey Taylor puts so much energy.
They've been around long enough that it better be a good show. There's nothing worse than going to see a concert and you're like, Jesus, they're terrible live.
I lost track of what the hell was happening. I was like, I forgot how many members there were. The whole stage had like industrial fans on it.
Yep.
Like there's like 15 people up there. There's 2 drummers. One's jumping around like the guy on the head of the vehicle at Mad Max.
Yeah.
At one point, they lit a bat on fire that had barbed wire on it. They were beating a keg. There was like
there's
treadmills
like
up there. Some dude
there's
was
like-
breakdancing dressed like a wizard. I was like, what the fuck?
Ed?
I think there's like 3.
Were you up there?
3 percussionists. They got the 2 drummers, but then they also have the other dude with the bat and the keg.
Yes. Oh, that's pretty sweet. And then Mick Thompson's up there. He's like 6'4" with like a steel hockey mask on. I think he has like the largest bass guitar in the world. I don't know. It was an unbelievable show.
So, were the ballads nice as well? Like the love
Yes.
songs?
Yeah. When he got into the Christian rock, I teared up a little.
Well, he actually, because he has multiple bands, he does do
Stone
acoustic
Sour, right?
tours as well. So he does go around and he can legitimately.
But that would be funny if they brought in like a band to play something soft and slow, and then they just like ran them off the stage.
I remember-
Kicked them the fuck out.
I remember in the early 2000s, after one show on MTV, I remember they interviewed Corey Taylor, and he still had the mask on and everything, and he started singing Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
And, like, he was good. I was like, dude, what the hell? Like, this guy can actually sing. He's an excellent vocalist.
He's like, I'm gonna show you motherfuckers. I can do it all.
He can. He absolutely can. But yeah, that's what I did. I did something I don't normally do, and if you're out there and you haven't seen Slipknot live, it's definitely worth it. That was probably one of the best up there, one of the best live shows I've ever seen.
Nice.
That's what's up. Ed?
Alright, so a show that came out fairly recently, and it is appropriate for this time of the year. It's Truth Seekers. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's from the guys that did Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
So it's fantastic. It has all of the kind of humor that Shaun of the Dead has and that those guys bring to their movies, wrapped around in paranormal activity kind of things going on, and they're investigators.
Is it a stage show, or is it made to look like it's a real show?
No, it's a proper show.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's got a couple episodes. The whole first season's up there. They had
Same 2 guys?
they're both in it. Simon Pegg's not in it as much because he was filming something else at the same time, but he does pop in like briefly in each episode,
That's cool.
and he's going to play a bigger part in the next season. So there was more of a time constraint where he couldn't get his character in there as much. But it's a great show.
So kind of like the Mandalorian, where they're trying to film around Pasquale or Pedro there.
So big off the Mandalorian, everybody wants him somewhere.
But you know what? He's got to put his priorities in the right place. Mandalorian is his big show. Like, to me, that's where I would stick.
I still see him getting his head smashed by the mountain.
As the Viper, right? Oh.
Yes, dude, that was horrible.
It was, but you know
I
what?
was eating.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
I'm like watching this duel. I'm like, oh, this is great. I was like, his fucking head explodes. I was like, oh my god.
I mean, post the Red Wedding, why would you think this is a good time to eat?
Yes.
At any point in time.
It took a hard left, man.
Like,
It did.
It went from like, okay, they're having a fight. I'm like, okay, this is gonna end with something. Not. He's gonna gouge his eyes out and crush his skull while he screams. I was like, that was a horrible shit I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was pretty rude. And you know what? The fight scene was dope. He just needed to shut the fuck up. I was saying the same thing. I was like, just kill him.
He had it won.
Then talk shit. Kill him. Come on, man. You know the rules.
He had it won.
You know the rules, and so do I.
He got Rick rolled.
He got Rick rolled for sure.
Yeah.
His head rolled out.
Yeah,
His eyes rolled out his head.
Shout out to old Game of Thrones. I still think at its height that was one of the best shows.
And they are bringing back a new Game of Thrones
like a prequel.
show, the prequel, dealing with, I believe, the Targaryens.
Yes, the Targaryen Civil War. I'm gonna give it a shot.
All right, listen, me too.
I like me some,
sorcery.
sorcery.
Game of Thrones was the last show that I can remember that I sat down every Sunday on time to watch it as it came out.
I had parties at my house.
Man. I mean, it was a fantastic show.
I still remember the debut. Best episode ever. Like, it's the debut of, like, it was the last season. The Night King.
Yeah.
When the army of the night attacked. I had 20 people at my house. The temperature was turned down to like 60 degrees. Everybody's covered in blankets. I wanted them to feel like they were not and I had no lights on.
Yeah, like winter is coming.
I gave specific, and people can comment on this, whatever, and attest to what I said. If I see your fucking cell phone light, I'm firing it out the window. I was like, we are north of the wall.
Goddamn right.
And like, so as dark as that episode was, no one saw shit. Like, we were all just like looking at the TV, like, oh man,
That shit is great.
that was amazing. I love that.
Yeah, that is a fantastic show. It really, really is. I think for the Halloween episode, we can jump around, tell some stories, maybe some personal stories of things that happened to you, like in a spooky manner, or Halloween party, Halloween stories, or if you want to just talk about some great Halloween movies or
something I
video
always
games.
remember come Halloween time, because we haven't had the chance. Because post high school, because we were in Pennsylvania, so even if you were trick or treating, you would just go out and you would fuck around because everybody knew each other and it was good. So I remember the one year, because it would end up, the whole community would almost pile up to like a group of like 20, 30 kids running around at the same time. Because it was all dirt roads and everything, no street lights. Everyone kind of eventually ended up just walking together.
Sure, takes me back.
I remember at one point in the big group, we ran into two people that were by themselves, and we started just following them to fuck around. And every time a car would come by and lights, everyone would run into the woods. So you'd see them turning back and looking around, and then the car would pass. Everyone would start coming out of the woods again and start following them. We probably got about 2.5 blocks before they finally just stopped with the slow escalation of their walking speed and just fucking booked it. And everyone just started running after them.
So it's like a zombie film.
That's so good though.
That's the worst.
That's the kind of thing that would happen in Pennsylvania. Woods everywhere, dirt roads, and nothing better to do but find the one group of people by themselves we're gonna fuck with them.
Yeah, but it was all in good fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, even in New York, we would get a little more aggressive. We would get the eggs, the shaving cream. I remember one year my friend Vinny brought out a fire extinguisher. We'd wear raincoats, Jason masks, and we'd get together in large groups. We would do it by park. We had 14th Street Park, Kelly Park, and we'd all meet by the train station. Mm-hmm. And it was just it was like Game of Thrones. It was like winter is coming. Civilians are there. The cops would show up. Couldn't do anything. because we were all kids. Yeah. All they could do is stand back, because if they got involved, they were just gonna get hammered with eggs. And it's like, there's like 100 kids on both sides. What are you gonna do? You
like
can't...
the LA riots.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They just wait for us. Everybody calming down.
Yes. But by that time, like, as soon as things started calming down or we started running out of ammo, we would disperse. And it was just like cockroaches when the lights go on. Motherfuckers is just running in all different directions, because the cops would get a couple people.
Yeah.
They wouldn't really take us in. It would be more like harassment that we deserved. You know, they would catch you and they'd be like, "Oh, you got some eggs." They take off your hat, slap an egg on your fucking head, put your hat back on, like, "Go home to your mother, Nelson. I know who you are. I walk this block." Like, fuck.
I do remember the one year.
I walk this block.
Because it would be so many people, they couldn't just arrest anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But they would just take your stuff and ruin it.
Yes.
So, like, I remember one year having the water balloons just thrown at our feet. Like, your feet are gonna be wet. Go home. You got wet socks, kid.
Jesus. I remember we played this game. Ironically, a group of Pennsylvania,
Right.
group of kids together, and this is so safe.
It's a safe place. Nobody's listening. Go for it.
Also,
Go for it, yeah.
so it'd be a group of kids from like various ages. Ages probably like 11 the whole way up to like 15, 16. And there's probably about close to 20 of us. And we would lay in the road at night. And same thing, no street lights. So we'd be laying in the road, and what happens is we'd wait for a car to start coming. And then when a car would come, it would get like 100 feet from us. And then all of a sudden, everyone would fly up off the road. So this car is just driving down this dark road in the middle of nowhere.
Fuck.
And all of a sudden, all these shapes just rise out of the road. And then we would scatter into the bushes and trees. And it was amazing to watch these cars slam on the brakes. And then all of a sudden, like, just go through crawling. Like, you'd be around, like, where the hell? And like, you'd have to like run and hide.
Sure.
And you wouldn't move. And my brother, Shay, he's been on the show. He's going to hate me for this. I remember the one year we were doing this. And Shay takes off running. It's all fun and games. The car coming down the hill. Lights light up. Shay takes off running. He doesn't see this fucking ground wire that is going from the ground the whole way up to this telephone pole. I'm running really far to the left of him, and he's running, and we're both running, and all of a sudden I just see him go completely flat out. Completely flat out. Like, the wire hit him in the face.
Oh, that sucks.
He's running full speed. He just, like, literally, like something out of The Exorcist. He just went completely flat. And I was like, fuck that. I ran to the left. I was like, not going that way. Oh, shout out to my little brother and the 4 stitches he got in his lip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that we did the one year that was fun was it was around the time of In Living Color. And we decided we were going to get baby powder and dress socks.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to fill these bitches with baby powder. And we weren't trick-or-treating that year, but we did get a lot of candy.
Yeah.
We would hide in the bushes, wait for unsuspecting people to walk by, and we'd just, like, hop out and just, like, beat them with baby powder socks. Yeah, right? They would drop their bags and run. Some kids, let me tell you, some kids would not give up the candy. They would lay on the floor and I will die with this kid. You know what? Go ahead, get out of here with your candy, kid. You deserve it.
You earned it.
Yeah. You took that beating like a man.
Yeah, we did so much shit. I mean, pumpkin chunking. You go
Pumpkin chunking? No, I've never done that.
Take a pumpkin, go throw it out of a car, damaged property. I remember we drive around and look for jack-o'-lanterns, and we'd light like an M80, like a slow burning M80.
Yes.
And we would like, the jack-o'-lantern would be on someone's porch, already lit, like it's Halloween. We'd drop the jack-o'-lantern in the top, lit. So it would have like 20 seconds of life. And then we'd pound on the door and we'd run away.
Oh, man.
The feeling of someone opening the door as their fucking jack-o'-lantern explodes.
Man, that's like heart attack, heart failure, right?
I apologize to any veterans that I'm so sorry.
The shockwave from those things that close.
Oh, God. And then they're completely covered in pumpkin.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, we used to take the 9X yellow, the 9X...
the yellow pages.
The yellow pages,
Yeah.
yes. There were these big stacked books. If you don't know because you're too fucking young and you don't need these things, they're these big-ass books with everybody's number all over the 5 boroughs.
that used to be easy to find.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We would take...
them babies were a good 3 inches thick.
We would take an M80, we'd stick it underneath, put the 9X on top, and it would explode. And when it exploded, the first couple cars, the closest cars, the alarms would go off. When the yellow pages hit the floor, every car for like 3 blocks is getting set off with their alarms. And like, Motherfuckers are pissed.
The thud it makes if it lands on a roof.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
It was-
you scare
it was
some
wild.
people.
It was
See,
wild.
that's what makes Halloween's just the best, man.
It's mischievous
It's all about just
fun.
mischief and like dark spookiness. Like when I was younger, I was biased. Christmas was my favorite holiday.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I was like, I get presents.
You get gifts.
Obviously, Christmas is my favorite
Yes,
time. I
yes.
get all this free shit. Older I get, it's like, nah, man, I want to get drunk and dress up as something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, it's just, I don't know. And
I think it became a shame though, and when like people started reading too much into Halloween costumes, and they're like, oh, you know, you're a Caucasian male, you shouldn't be dressed up as Pocahontas. Who the fuck cares? That is the time when you're supposed to get out of your skin and just have fun, and that's what like I like what we embody with the podcast is having a good time.
I went as Barack Obama in 2000.
That's what's up, right? But it should.
Those
be
are
fun.
pictures I hope don't.
Nothing to resurface there.
Actually, funny. I dressed up literally like full on blackface.
Yeah.
Wore a suit, tie, like everything. And I went around, dyed my hair black, and it didn't.
took a turn.
No, it didn't hit me. It didn't hit me. It didn't hit me how fucked up this was until like I realized where we were going. I was like, oh shit, like
Yep. Sure.
I was like, we're going to a party in West York. I was like, oh shit. I was like, we're driving like through the hood.
Ye old York.
I was like, I'm in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
I was like, if we stop for gas, if we're at a red light, I'm in fucking
Oh,
trouble.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
I'm
was like,
sure.
this is not good. So I'm like, it's okay. Like, I was like, I'm trying to think, who do we know that's gonna show up at this party? I was like, I should be all right. Like,
Yeah. You
I'm
got
thinking
your
like,
friends there.
yeah. I was like, Justin Hunter might come, but he's my friend. Like, you know, he's a black guy, and we're cool. Like, it's whatever. Well, anyway, I walk in, look to my left, first two guys on the couch with these two black guys, and they just like they're like smoking and drinking. They look up at me, and I look down at them, and they were like, Barack Obama, huh? I'll never forget it as long as I live. They're like Barack Obama, huh? And I was like, I was like, yeah. And they were like, ain't that some shit? They're like, black guy in a suit, gotta be Obama. But they were good sports about it.
Right,
Yeah,
but look,
whatever.
but that's what it is, right? It's supposed to be.
In my
fun.
defense, I voted for the guy twice. I mean,
Yeah,
fuck. I was
yeah.
like, I wasn't making fun here, you know?
No, and you weren't doing it in a malicious way. You were doing it.
Hell
to
no,
have
I had a
fun.
nice suit on.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah, I get it.
Well, I mean, it wasn't too many years ago on the Man Show. They had the Carl Malone sketches.
They could never do the Carl Malone
They can't
sketch
do that
now.
Carl Malone sketch anymore.
Yeah.
Hell
I
no.
mean, it
They couldn't even do Tropic Thunder anymore now.
it died. It was dying by the time Tropic Thunder came, and he got in under the wire
Yeah.
with that role because he did it so well. You're like, don't even touch it anymore. Leave it.
Yeah.
We're done. We're good.
Yeah. And it was funny hearing like what Robert Downey Jr. said about his mom.
Yeah.
Like, his mom, like he sends the script to her, like when he's doing a movie, and he sent the script for Tropic Thunder to his mom. His mom was like, his mom's Irish.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I don't like it, Robert. Robert, I don't think you should do this role. He's like, oh, mom, come on.
That's a smart.
Because he was doing good. I think he had just done Iron Man.
Yeah.
So like his career was
He's
on the up and up.
on the way up.
And
Yeah.
and she's like, Robert, no, like,
Yeah, don't do it. Oh,
like,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay,
No, what I was gonna say, it actually reminded me weirdly of the one year we were trick or treating with the kids, and we knocked on this one house, and this guy, I don't know, because I don't think he did it in a mean way, or he was just a weird fucking person. But we're walking with a bunch of the kids,
Chances
with
are
a
high.
bunch of adults there, and he's handing out frozen boxes of Good and Plenties. Do you remember this guy? So like we get to the
Why?
so like when we go in the kids' bags every
This is
time they're
Florida?
getting candy. This was in Florida, out in Wellington area.
Frozen. Never mind.
So we get the candy bags, and I'm like, where the fuck did this frozen Good and Plenty? And then we start going through all the kids' bags, and we're like, they all got frozen Good and Plenty. I was like, give me that. I'm throwing this shit out. And then we, as a collective group of dads, walk back to the door to knock on it, and like, hey, what's going on? Why are you handing? He's like, I forgot it was Halloween. Like, he was just an old guy,
Yeah.
lived by himself, and he froze his candy so it wouldn't go bad. So he was just basically giving away his stash.
The only thing he had.
But like, it was weird enough where we're like, just don't open your door anymore, dude.
you turn out
the
the
thought is
porch light.
nice. If you can't give out like dollar bills or 50 cents to each kid or some shit like that, like the frozen candy's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but it could have been something different. But we're
Yeah.
like, let's stop this.
At least do
before
the
it
razor
goes
blade and
further.
the apple thing. I mean, come on. Like, what are you doing?
That was the big myth growing up, right?
Yeah.
But that's the parents' myth because they want your
in the one
fucking
Halloween
candy.
movie. In the one Halloween movie that happens.
Yes.
Yeah,
One Halloween movie, the girl bites
if
into
you
the-
actually go through the research, the only time that there's ever been tainted candy is when one family member was poisoning another family member. It's never been going door to door and actually like some random person.
Shout out to
fucking
my
around
wife.
to everybody.
Trying to kill me slowly. What movie?
What you got? What you got to do is you got to unwrap the Tootsie Roll and then like start putting cat turds in it and then roll them back.
There was a movie that I watched. It was probably I think like a classic Oriental film where like she was he was slowly murdering his wife with little drops of poison every day to like kill her off. And by the time she realized that he was trying to kill her off, like she was already in too deep and dying, so she winds up going to kill him.
That wasn't that really good movie that won an Oscar.
It was good. It was a good
was it
movie. I don't
Parasite?
remember. No, it wasn't. I don't know if I'd never seen Parasite, but this was a different older movie. You know, it was kind of like he was an emperor or she was an empress, kind of shit like that. But I was like, damn, that's fucking deep. You know, like imagine like hating somebody so much that every day you're just like 2 drops. Because if I put 3, she'll get too sick.
Yeah,
you know, like
people have done that before. There was I had seen a case where the wife did that to the husband, where she was just slowly poisoning him with the food, and to the point where by the time they figured it out, it's like it's too late.
Yeah,
it's
he's
so
gone.
you're done. Like you
it's
got
already in your system too far.
Yeah.
Like monsters.
Yeah.
So I would say, as for me, I think the only time I was really spooked, like as a kid, it wasn't a Halloween thing. There was this basement that we lived in, this building in New York.
In New York, yeah.
And it was a creepy basement. It didn't have proper lighting. Lots of really dark corners. Actually, my father found
No light switches, so when you needed to turn the light on in the room, you had to walk all the way in the darkness, find the light to pull the switch where the light bulb was at.
It's like being afraid of the furnace in the basement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. But like that's how we got to our bikes to ride them around.
But this is a basement for a building, so it's not like from here and 10 feet away. It's like, oh, that light is 50 feet into pitch blackness basement, no windows.
It was a spooky fucking basement. It was like it had this aura to it. Like even my father, when he was cleaning out some of the people's belongings that were no longer there, they either passed away or they moved and they left their shit behind.
So the
and he had to
basement
get rid
was
of it.
definitely haunted.
Yeah, well, he found like legitimate Nazi memorabilia, like he found
Haunted.
like a sword, a knife, a helmet, things like weird shit that he's like, I gotta get rid of this shit. I don't want any of this bad juju. But well, one day we're in there, me and my brother.
Don't say Nazi and Juju together.
Yeah, yeah. Damn. Too soon. Yeah, too soon. Yeah. It's always gonna be too soon. Me and my brother and my sister were in there, and we're going to get our bikes, and we're spooking each other out because that's what we would do. We'd go in there like, no, you get the light. No, you get the light this time. You know. So you get to the light, you turn it on. And we're like, all right, cool. All right, first stage is done. Now we got to get to the next light.
Yep.
In the other room, so you got to walk from the little bit of light that you do have back into the darkness, and then that's the final light to get to your bikes.
Oh, Jesus.
So we didn't know that this asshole in the building saw us coming in from the door to go get our bikes, put on I think it was like a green Blanca mask from Street Fighter.
Oh no!
Was this the kids from the 4th floor?
6th floor.
Okay.
It was Timmy. So he climbs in through the window, and we're going in there to get our bikes. And so wait, were you there or was it just me and Princess?
I wasn't there, but I
okay,
know
so it
about
was just me and Princess then. So we're in there, we're going to get our bikes. And this motherfucker pops out. Ah! My fucking heart drops, but at the same time, my sister screams and just starts punching. Boom, boom, and then she's yelling at me like, hit him! I'm like, okay. So we're just hitting. We don't know what the fuck it is, but somebody is screaming at us in a fucking mask, right? So we're beating his ass and he's yelling, I'm sorry, stop, it's me, right? And like he takes off the mask mid-beating and my sister's like, keep hitting him, right? He was so mad, but like, you know, apologetic as well for like the next week before we like talked to him again. My sister was like, don't you ever fucking do that again. You know, like, god damn, like, but that was the one time I was like legitimately fucking spooked.
There's some spooky. Like Central Pennsylvania has a lot of creepy shit in it. Like there's the Gettysburg Battlefield that's haunted. It's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the U.S.
Yeah.
I grew up near Rainmeyer's Hollow. There's actually books on it. It's called Hex. It's about William Rainmeyer. He was like an actual warlock, if you will, at the turn of the century. There's
Aspiring warlock.
one of your people. My aunt lived in Loganville, which is close to Glen Rock, and Glen Rock is known in southern Pennsylvania as having like a history of witchcraft and stuff like that. And there was this lady that lived next to the my aunt lived on like 5-acre or more farmland, and on the edge of her property was this woods, and there was always this old, like dark brown roof house that was overgrown by vines. There's a chimney, and there was always smoke coming out of that damn chimney. So you knew someone lived in it.
Yeah.
And all my aunt would tell me, shout out, rest in peace, Aunt Deb.
Yeah.
All she would tell me was, don't go over there. That woman is weird. Don't go over there. That's all she would tell the kids. Wouldn't tell us what she did, what her name was, didn't know shit. Just don't go over there. That woman's weird. Well, when you tell a kid that, especially a young boy, don't go over there. That woman's weird.
You want to go over there?
As soon as Thanksgiving dinner's over, I'm going over there with the whole family. I'm sneaking all the kids, you know. This lady, there was no driveway. She supposedly drove a car, but there was like this old Chevy Blazer that was parked out on the street, and it had garbage in it. If you looked in it, back seat, passenger seat, piled high with garbage. I mean, what the hell? Like, you couldn't even make out anything in there. There was a walking path, literally a tunnel in the woods, like overgrown. You could tell people walked on it because some stuff was walked on the whole way. Like, it started at the mailbox and just went back into the woods.
Damn.
Like this shit. Like I worked up the courage to walk back in there. When you walk back in there, like you would go back in and like the windows were darkened. Like the yard was overgrown with vines. Like it was something out of a horror movie.
Damn.
So I went through school, blah, blah, and when I made it into high school, I would always talk about this.
Right.
I would talk about, like, you don't understand. There's a witch that lives next to my aunt. You guys don't understand. And kids would be like, nuh-uh. And then when I took them I would take them to the house, and people would look at it, and they'd be like, I ain't going down there. It'd be very rarely that I'd be able to take people down there. And I got away with this for years with nothing happening.
Right.
And I'll never forget the one night. It was close to Halloween. And I was like, I took a fucking huge group of people. I mean, I had like 15 plus people that we got. Like, we all met up at this one gas
Getting
station.
real
Sheetz.
bold.
Yeah. And there might have been some adult beverages being consumed. And I don't understand.
A little bit of Boone's Farms in there.
You understand? There's a witch lives next to my
courage.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, hey, let's go down. Let's go look at the house, right? Let's go take a look at this. Well, I get a group of people together. We park down the road, and we start walking up the street. And I'm talking big.
Yeah.
And I get down to the edge. We go past the mailbox. We start walking down into the woods. And I'm walking through the woods, and people are laughing, talking. Some people are smoking cigarettes. And I'm walking back in there. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. Wait till you see the yard. Wait till you see that. And as I'm walking, this fucking voice just comes out of, like, the night farther down the path. And it's literally just like, you get out of here. And I fucking, dude, my asshole imploded like a dark hole. Like it almost drew me into it. Like it got so tight. And when I turned back, I could make out like the fucking scraggly hair of a woman standing in the darkness. Like I was like, dude, we were stepping on each other. Fucking stepping on each other. I think one kid fell down. I stepped right on his mid-back. I didn't give a shit.
Survival
Everybody
of the fittest.
was charging out of this path. I literally thought I was fucking dead. I thought there was a spell being cast on me.
Shit.
Because you gotta think, this old, weird, demented woman living in the woods.
Sure.
Like,
that's some
she was
hills have
there.
eyes.
She was on the path. She must have been walking up to her mailbox or something in the middle of the night. You get out. I'll never forget it. I'll never fucking forget it. I mean, I'll never forget we got back to the road, and my one friend Chad was like, he was sweating, and he was like looking at me. He's like, what the fuck was that? I was like, I don't know. Get in the car and go. Like, we need to go. We need to go now. Like, we need to leave. Like, I'm sorry. So, that was probably one of the spookiest. I mean, shit. That house is probably still there.
That's crazy. What about you, Ed? Any paranormal experiences?
I can't really say that I have had any, but we do actually live not too far from what's considered one of the most haunted graveyards in the United States. It's actually only about.
I
didn't
like
even know
right
that.
now, currently, us in this area.
If it's we lived like 10 minutes away from it at one point. But it's like 25 minutes up the road.
What's the name of the cemetery?
I don't recall the name.
We might be able to do another podcast.
I say we do an overnighter at the cemetery.
I'll get
down.
I'll get the lamb's blood.
Listen, bro. I've got the protection right here. That's right, lightsaber bitches.
Is that official?
Oh, it's official.
But I do recall listening to a podcast, might have been on the Nerdist, where he had one of the producers from one of the ghost shows that were huge at one point, the Ghost Hunters. And
I can't stand those shows.
And it was,
Nothing ever happened. And commercial break.
well, it's great because it was one of
Did you guys hear that?
It was one of
Nothing.
the episodes where something did happen. Because they had caught like a weird reflection, like, oh my god, there's something, and it was and unfortunately for the producer, he knew what the weird reflection was. It was him. But they were so excited that they had got something that he just didn't want to break their heart and be like, hey guys, that was
me.
That was me. A car passed by and reflected, and sorry. So he just,
that's fucked up.
And the episode aired with it. So like it was just one of those like, it's like those shows you have to really suspend a lot of disbelief to watch them, but then it's like, for even the little bit of shit that they get that you know is likely bullshit, for the actual confirmation of, yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah. You know, they're praying for anything to happen. Sure. Like, when they film that show, they're like, dude, I hope like Bigfoot farts or something. Because there's nothing. There's fucking nothing. It's like, I can't even watch them because it's like,
Yeah. And it really is the fear of the people themselves that are, it's my fear making your fear worse, making your anxiety crack up, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, what's going on? And for them, it's a lot of bullshit, but they find people that are scared to go with them.
And I never could understand, why do the lights all have to be out? If it's haunted,
it's haunted.
Why does it have to be at midnight with the lights out?
And why are all the ghosts old? I want to see some new ghosts.
I do not want to see any children ghosts. No.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I want to see children ghosts. No, I want to see. I want to see younger ghosts.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like they're always like from the 1940s and shit. Like
you mean like that hot slashed up chick?
They're
from, like,
they're always
Me too,
Civil War era.
Yes,
always
exactly.
Civil War era.
Yeah, like didn't anything haunted happen in the 60s? Like why can't why can't like Janis Joplin's ghost come like singing in a bathtub? You know what I mean? Like
I want to see Tupac's ghost. You know what I mean? Tupac's ghost.
I did not want to see Tupac.
But speaking of in the
he knows I did blackface.
Yes. Does everyone remember? It was an MTV show where they would take a handful of contestants essentially, and they would put them somewhere haunted, and they would do the same thing. It would be pitch black, and they would make them do like quests, like you need to go over there.
There's something they have to find. Like, what was the name of that? I know what you're talking about. I can't
think of the name. It had Godsmack was the song.
Yes.
For the opener.
I'm not the runner.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember they started escalating.
Sorry, Saul Yarn
with some of the things they would make people do, and there was one episode I recall where they had the one person sitting in a jail cell.
I'm doing research.
With the door, I want to say the door was closed, and it was a jail cell where they would like solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Like they would basically just leave these people to die.
Yeah.
That's always
and
pleasant.
that person had to stay in there for X amount of time by themselves in the
It sounds
pitch
familiar
black.
to me too.
And then there was another part of the episode where at the top,
show was actually called Fear.
At the top of a scaffold, the guy had to, at a place where a dude hung himself, had to put a noose around his neck.
Oh, okay.
And then push the cinder block that was tied with a rope that looked like it was tied to the rope that was on his neck off of like the crane like that he's standing on. I'm just like, no. It's not worth the money you're offering. No. Go the fuck home.
Yeah, no, it really isn't.
This is not worth the money.
I know what you're talking about. And that show had like it's like this is like an insane asylum. In the basement of it, in the old oven, there'll be a fucking key. And I'm like, no, eat shit. Like,
I'm not getting it. You
I'm
go
not
get
going
it.
into this like furnace where bodies were burned to get a key. Like, no.
Yeah, I want no parts of that shit.
Yeah. At what cost? Like, what part of me is gonna make it out of this? Like, no.
And they weren't getting anything good. This was back when like you weren't even getting like big money for being the contestant.
Just being on TV was reward enough for you.
It's like there's people people on Fear Factor. It's like, eat 2 pounds of moose cock.
No, I won't.
To get to the next round. It's
Yo,
like,
yeah, to me,
nah.
that's where I had to say no for Fear Factor.
Yeah.
The stunts, the heights, the
stunts
activities.
looked
I'm in. Eating weird shit or drinking nasty ass fucking food? No way. I can't.
there's things they did on that show. I remember the one pizza episode. I won't forget the pizza episode. There was this pizza episode, and like the dough of the pizza was okay,
Right.
Like it was legit pizza dough.
Yeah.
But what they made this pizza out of for people to eat, the cheese was curdled, fermented, like the cheese was like spoiled and like ridiculously aged. The sauce was a congealed sheep's blood.
Oh,
And
I don't like congealed anything.
the shaving on top was like live maggots that were cultivated in the cheese. The live maggots were crawling through the cheese.
That's
and
so
I
nasty.
literally was like, there's no way in hell.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell I could eat that pizza.
I would punch a producer in the face for that
Yes.
shit. Like, get the fuck over here.
not-
You eat this
You're
shit.
not paying enough money for this.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
the one episode they had to eat bull penis.
Oh,
And I remember Joe Rogan was like, we're really doing this?
Yes.
He was
Can we do
looking
this
at
legally?
he was
Like-
looking at the producer like, we're doing this?
he's like, call the legal team out here because I don't think we can do this shit.
He's like, you got these people just like gnawing on this bull dick. He's
Well,
like,
there was this other show that I
what am
seen,
I doing with my life?
Scare Tactics. I don't know if
Yes.
you've ever seen that. It
The
was
big-
kind of like
the Bigfoot
practical
episode.
jokes. Oh my
The
god.
Bigfoot episode was legendary.
Well, I seen the one where they did an alien, they were trying to kidnap these kids in the desert. So they put them in a taxi.
Yep.
It's this kid and his girlfriend.
They exploited midgets a lot in that
Oh,
show.
they really did. But
They
you know what?
exploited
In a good
midgets a
way.
lot.
I think midgets need more roles out there. Why not?
Demon costume?
So they're driving in the desert, and the car starts to break down, and they had these spotlights shine down on the car,
Yes.
and the car is shaking like they're gonna be taken by some aliens, and the door rips off. Boom!
man.
Right? So the girlfriend is sitting in the middle of the back seat, and her boyfriend is sitting next to her on the door that doesn't get pulled off. Shout out to this guy because this motherfucker was fast, like sprinter fast. He left his girlfriend in the car. He left the driver in the car, opened the door, and was gone. They had to send the camera crews after
To go get him.
to go get him to tell him that it was a fucking practical joke, right? So the girl's in the car screaming, ah! She's like, what the fuck? Motherfucker's gone,
Oh,
right?
that relationship's over.
So, exactly what
That's
happened
done.
at the end of the episode. They got the host there and everything. You know, they're asking him about the relation. And she's like, "No, we're done. We're done. I'm sorry. You left me to die in the desert." He's like, but baby. There's no but baby. I'm looking at him like, dude, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You could have at least tried to pull her out with you.
Yeah.
He was like, this is all about me right now.
I think the first episode was the Bigfoot episode, and that episode was ridiculous. It was like there's like some guy driving the camper, and like the friend driving the camper was in on it. Like he was setting his friends up in the camper for this thing, and he said, "What the hell was that? Something just crossed the road." He's like, "I think it's a bear." Like the way he was acting was ridiculous. Like, he like got a gun and got off the thing. He like parks it, gets off the camper and goes out in the woods, and his friends are like, "What the hell is he doing? Why is he going after this like bear with a gun?" And like they heard gunshots in the dark, and like he runs back on the camper without the gun. His shirt is torn. There's blood on him. He goes, "What the fuck is that thing?" He's like, "It's a big." He's like, "It's not a bear." He's like, "He grabbed the gun," and like they're like, "What?" And like literally, he's back on the camper, and like. This guy, the guy must have been 7 feet tall. They had him on this Bigfoot makeup. He slams into the window of the camper, and like the people's faces when he slams into the camper, it's unbelievable. He starts rocking this camper, and people are just, yeah, and they're losing their mind. They think they're gonna die. He's like, I dropped the keys. And I was outside. They're like, literally everyone thought they were gonna get ripped apart. It was amazing.
That's great. Yeah,
show
that's
was good.
the best part of the show is the people setting you up were friends and family members to get you fucked up, and they knew what scared you, so they were in on that shit in a really bad way, and that's what made the show great. I thought the show was really fun.
They don't have anything like that anymore. Like I remember a lot of the fear-oriented shows.
No, a
Or
lot
even
of them,
practical joke shows.
a lot of
Yeah.
them died. A lot of it started being done on YouTube, and it became an escalation of people trying to outdo themselves, and it started becoming like people would pretend to be. They had one person he was pretending to mug people. Well, he got shot because he pretended to mug somebody that got a gun.
Was that like the halal people there'd be people sitting on a park bench and they would walk up dressed as like an Arab dude and they would throw like a suitcase and run away? Like you're gonna get shot. Yeah. You're gonna get shot in the fucking head.
Oh yeah, well they made them do like retraction videos and apologize they did jail time.
One of the last ones. So the guy did as a prank for his channel, whereas he essentially kidnapped 2 of his friends and then pretended to kill the one friend in front of the other. So the one friend is freaking the fuck out because he thinks we just got kidnapped and someone died.
Right.
And it's like, oh, it's a joke. No, it's really kind of not, man.
Yeah, that's a fight. That's a fight.
I kidnapped a friend back in high school. Shout out to Chris White. He's still my friend, but he didn't talk to me for like a month.
Just a month?
Yeah. Well, it started out. We were gonna kidnap him.
There's a lot of nothing in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there is.
That's what it is.
We knew he worked late, and we were gonna kidnap him. This had nothing to do with Halloween. It was just us being assholes.
No, go ahead.
And like, so he worked late, and we ambushed him as he was heading home. We literally kidnapped him in his fucking driveway. His parents were inside. Like, we jumped on him and tackled him, and it's like 4 of us.
Right.
And we threw a bag over him, like a pillowcase over him, and he's fighting back. He doesn't know what's going on. He's fighting back, and I remember he was fighting back, and he hit my friend Brandon in the face, and like, he was resisting, and we were having a hard time duct taping his legs. And I remember,
you fucking duct taped his legs.
I wanted him to comply. I just wanted him to comply.
Right,
so
of course, as
remember,
kidnappers do.
I may or may not have punched him a few times. Because I wanted him to stop resisting. I remember I hit him a few times, and then he went limp, and I was like, okay, now duct tape his hands. And we threw him in the trunk. We threw him in the trunk of a car, and we drove reckless. Like fucking, we went in their parking lot and spun circles. And I think we kept him in the trunk for like an hour. And then
oh my god!
I remember we went somewhere. We went somewhere. I think it was by Lake Redmond, and we let him out. And when he realized it was all of us, he was like hysterically mad.
Oh, of course.
Hysterically mad.
And rightfully so.
He may have had a nosebleed. I don't know.
Yeah. Look, at that point.
So he could have actually had us all thrown in jail.
Okay, I was gonna say at that point, does he get a couple free punches, a couple free kicks, like? I
asked him. I think I offered. I was like, "Do you want to hit me? Do you want to get me back?" He wasn't responding to me. He didn't. He didn't talk to me for a month.
No,
he didn't talk to me for a month.
I don't think that's talk worthy.
And I think the first thing he said to me was like, "I could have you sent to jail."
And yes,
I was like, "Yes,
right.
you could. You absolutely could." So yeah, I completely understand.
I think a funny story that happened to us when I was younger was again me and my friend Vinny. Halloween, we were troublemakers for Halloween. We always had the stupidest fucking ideas, and we figured
like kidnapping someone.
Not that stupid. We figured
fucking white people, right?
We figured we'd get a bunch of eggs, and we'd go on the roof of the building where we lived because the block had a bunch of roofs, so you can essentially throw an egg from the top of a roof, hit somebody, and they wouldn't know where it actually came from.
Safe.
So, safe, slick.
Yep.
We have the advantage of...
I'm jealous.
The high ground. Shout out to Ewan McGregor.
That's all you did there.
So we're on the roof, and we're chucking eggs at people. Didn't matter, man, woman, child. We're fair game for everyone.
You didn't discriminate.
No discrimination.
Equal opportunity employer.
Equal opportunity. We're hitting people, friends we know because we live on the block. People getting away with it. We're laughing our asses off, having a great time. I chuck an egg, and I hear this very familiar, "What the fuck?" Me and Vinny, we look at each other. We're like, "Is that your dad?" I was like, "I think that's my dad." We're like, "We better get off the fucking roof." Now, mind you, we're on the 6th floor of the roof. My father had to finish parking his car, get up 2 flights of stairs, 2 locked doors, and then 2 more flights of stairs to the 2nd floor landing where we had to get into the apartment safely because he knew where the fucking egg came from. So we're running down the stairs, top speed.
Oh, no.
He's running up the stairs, top speed. We meet on the 2nd floor where the apartment is. We were inches from getting in, and all we got was one continuous slap. It was just like it started with my face and ended on Vinny's face. The slap was so hard that we had a handprint on our face for at least 3 days. Like I had half the hand, he had the other half of the hand. Then my father's like, go outside and clean my fucking car, right? So we did that. And then he told us to go to Vinny's house. So this was back in the day where, like, you know, parents doubled down on the punishment.
I was just about to say, I miss those days when, like, not only could you beat your kids, you could whoop someone else's kids.
Oh, yeah.
I got my ass whooped by a lot of different moms.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
neighborhood. I got beat.
Because you do stupid shit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're going to catch you.
They would just come out in the street and just right there and there.
And they would tag in your mom, like, your turn, like, bang, bang, bang.
Well, then you had to go home and tell your parents what you did, but there was already a call made. That your mom, so my mom, when I fucking came in the house, she was bobbing and weaving. She was ready to go. I was like, fuck, here we go.
Mike Tyson's knockout.
Yeah.
I'm coming in.
She started with the body and went straight to the head. And I was like, fuck.
But that's exactly what happened. We went to Vinny's house, and his mother was waiting outside for us, and she threw us both a beating too. So it was a good time for all. But
murder rate was lower, by the way.
It really was. But they say, you know, it takes a village, you know, to raise a child, and that's how we lived and died by on the block in New York. You know,
good times.
Yeah. Now I don't even know my neighbor's names, and I prefer it that way. Stay the fuck in your house.
Or if you live where my Aunt Debbie lives, you don't want to know your neighbor.
That's exactly right.
You let those people stay in the woods. Jesus.
All right. So, as far as the essence of Halloween. We're not really big into the horror genre, but I have seen some scary sci-fi horror films and stuff like that.
This man here is.
Oh, okay. Yes,
I live and die by that.
That's it. That's why we were gonna defer to you, sir. What would you say if you had to recommend a good movie to watch on Halloween that you could get a good scare?
Well, if you're gonna watch a Halloween movie, family oriented, if you want to ease into it, like just a little sprinkling of spooky.
A sprinkle.
I know some people are big into the Halloween Town with the Olsen twins. I never got into that one. There's people that live and die by that one. They like that one. There's the Halloween Tree. It's an animated one.
Okay.
Leonard Nimoy in it. Leonard Nimoy, rest in peace. Leonard Nimoy voices he's the old creepy dude in the show. His name is Clavicle Moundshroud. That is the name of the character. It's a really good show. I think Ray Bradbury did it, another master of science fiction and an author. But it's called it's called the Halloween Tree, and Leonard Nimoy plays in it. It's actually really good. That one's not too spooky, but it has spooky elements.
All right, and what about for your more hardcore horror fans? What would you recommend?
Oh man, probably The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock.
Listen, man, we don't want them to never come back to the horror genre again. But I agree.
Okay, well,
terribly scary movie.
Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus is another classic.
Yeah,
but if you're trying to step it up, if you're trying to see something that's like actually got scary stuff in it, I mean, you could go with classics like Night of the Living Dead. George A. Romero, literally the godfather of zombie horror. The original Night of the Living Dead, black and white, he made that as a college project. That's why there's so few actors in it.
Interesting.
And his one roommate was, the movie was actually made in the 60s. And just at the turn of it was like 50s and 60s. I think it was made early 60s. But his roommate was a black guy. And at the time, when he was pitching the movie studio, they said, "What are you doing? You can't cast him as the lead." It was the 60s.
Right.
And he said, "Fuck you. He's my friend and my
Right,
roommate. I'm making the damn movie." So actually, Night of the Living Dead is one of the first horror movies, or even movies, that came out in that era with a black lead.
Excellent.
Interesting.
And it was made so cheap with just the prosthetic, like the paint and stuff like that. But he had people use actual animal meat in the scenes where they're eating flesh.
Ooh.
He wanted it to be like as
Raw.
real as possible. And until that movie, it actually almost got an NC-17 rating. It was like, but it's just amazing what you can achieve with just lifeless stares and shambling, and that started it. Night of the Living Dead started the whole zombie thing, and then from there you get Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead.
That reminds me, Uncle David, fucking as weird sleeping habits, would go to sleep watching horror movies. That was his favorite thing to do, was to fall asleep.
I like watching
horror movies.
I like watching horror movies before bed too. I don't know what the hell it is.
I have to watch a comedy.
That sounds like a
can't go to
terrible
sleep.
time to make.
I can't go to sleep with a horror
It is
movie
bad.
on in the background, or like even if I watch something like that's a little too dark,
Yeah.
Like, I have to bring it back. I'm like, all right, let me throw on something cheesy and corny like The Office, 30-minute episode. Get a good laugh, and then I can fall asleep.
But if you're gonna talk like scariest movies I've ever seen, I mean, shit. I mean, if we're talking about my childhood, Tim Curry. Tim Curry is Pennywise the Clown. Steve, I think it's one of Stephen King's best. Scared the living hell out of me.
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist,
I think that was the movie that turned me off to horror movies.
Yeah, that movie was creepy,
That
man.
movie
The
was
Exorcist.
scary as fuck.
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist. Never seen it.
But-
Dude, Linda Blair at that little girl. That, oh my god. That
See, with those
performance.
movies, there was always an additional aura of like all the issues they had on set and actors that died afterwards and people that just disappeared from the industry.
Okay.
So there was always like this additional thing of like, it's a scary movie, but man, there's something wrong with this
There's something
movie
there.
because like
It's based on a
everyone
true story.
involved
It's
had
based-
something happen.
It's based on a true story. The true story happened to a boy in Maryland, and it was literally based off an actual exorcism archive. I think for me, the scariest movies are supernatural, like The Conjuring. There's great horror movies that I love, like werewolf movies, vampire movies, things like that. But I'm less terrified of something that's physical. Like, as scary as a werewolf is, you shoot it with a silver bullet.
Yeah.
As scary as a vampire is, whatever, use a cross. Don't let him invite him in your home.
And
Right,
there's
Eat a lot of
usually-
garlic pizza.
See,
There's
Like,
usually
there's-
some resolve at the end of those movies.
Sure.
The ones that always get me are more the Asian style horror films where
Ringu.
there is no
The Eye,
resolve. Like
Ju-on.
the
Yeah,
villain
yeah.
wins. Not only does the villain win, it's still alive doing its thing. Where you're like, oh, so
The Grudge.
fuck.
Yeah.
okay, but look, what about this? Like, to me, like The Wizard of Oz had a really fucking creepy vibe when I
Yeah.
was younger.
The Witch.
I don't know what it was, but
Or
no,
you didn't like the Flying Monkeys.
but there was something I believe
Or you don't like country folk.
that somebody hung
Dorothy!
themselves in the movie.
Yeah,
right?
supposedly
I don't know if that
somehow
was a
they
myth or
hung
not.
themselves
I
in the background of the
think
movie.
they proved that it's not true, but the one scene, you're right. It looks like in the background for years they said that the one
Actor or crew member killed themselves.
the one actor hung
themselves.
himself. They did say that. And then back they said you can
can
see
see it.
him swinging.
Yeah.
They disproved it though.
Okay,
they did
all right.
disprove it. Thankfully
But that was
now.
spooky, bro.
However, there is a bunch of stories that you can look up on sexual assault that go on.
But-
That apparently
Really?
apparently the Munchkins were a little aggressive.
A little
with Dorothy.
handsy.
A little handsy.
and a lot of cancer.
Little
lot of
little
the-
handsy.
The
Little
snow.
handsy.
Little handsy. Little handsy.
The snow.
The Munchkins were a little.
I'm trying to get
handsy.
past.
No, Eddie, you will
No,
not
Ed,
get past
you
it.
said
You fucking land right on that
Little
bitch, Cheryl.
hands.
Little handsy.
Little hands. Jesus.
The snow was asbestos,
Really?
like
What?
full on asbestos. So and they went
Early
heavy,
Hollywood. Early
heavy.
Hollywood.
Right. they
Well,
went
not
ham,
even
huh?
that. They knew the link between cancer and asbestos at the time.
I'm sure someone did.
And they just went, "Fuck it." Same thing with the
And
issues.
didn't they realize that like it was kind of double the asbestos to half the person?
Who did this? Who fucking did this movie? It's probably MGM. Probably MGM.
And,
They were
the
probably-
guy-
I think it was.
the guy that played Tin
think it
Man
was, actually.
had got some kind of disease because
From the makeup.
the makeup they were using had like
Wow.
heavy metals in it.
Yeah, he got
So
like fucked
shit.
up.
the constant putting it on, he got like poisoned.
Interesting.
And then you had who played Dorothy? Oh my god, why can't I think of her name? Judy Garland. Judy Garland. Yeah, she ended up dying of alcohol abuse.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably from all the fucking munchkins harassing her on the
Yeah,
sets.
getting fingered by
Sleepless
munchkins.
nights. Oh my god. Oh, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at you.
Oh my god. Metro
We're telling
yeah,
that.
I just see like an executive producer at MGM being like,
That's
"Sir,
fucking
sir,
terrible.
wait, so there's so much asbestos in Munchkin Land. Fuck it, they're midgets."
Let them die anyway. Fuck
Exactly.
these guys. Yeah.
Dude, the Wizard of
They're
Oz.
evil anyway.
A Wizard of Oz apparently is a great Halloween movie. It's just
listen,
cursed.
But wasn't it? Didn't have a creepy vibe to it. Like when I watched it, like
It did.
it wasn't scary.
If you read the book is really dark.
it was just a creepy.
The book is
fucking
super dark.
film.
Well, I mean, look at like even like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Mm-hmm. You got the Oompa Loompas. Where it's
Anything with
essentially-
midgets. Anything with
Yeah,
midgets.
indentured servitude. But then you got like people like It's
The
hard
tunnel
to
scene-
imagine
the tunnel scene
that
was scary.
chocolate river didn't drown a couple people. We're getting pulled into like tunnels and chambers
Yeah.
and shot
Yeah,
around.
Augustus Gloop is fucking dead.
Yeah, man.
He got sucked into that chocolate tube. He's dead.
R.I.P.
Yeah, sorry, Augustus. He jammed up the pipes, man.
Oh man. Well, yeah. For me, I think Poltergeist scared the shit out of me. And you know,
The Conjuring was good.
Gremlins was also kind of a fucking.
It was
Horror,
holiday. That's
holiday.
that blends it. Isn't that Christmas too?
It was. It definitely
So it's like Nightmare
was.
Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't talk about
You don't like that
musicals. God damn it! I
one?
knew you were gonna bring it
I'm
up.
Sorry. Another good Halloween musical is Sweeney Todd. If you haven't seen it.
I haven't, and nor do I want to. Oh yeah. I mean, listen. I
Wait,
like.
wait.
I like the
4K.
aesthetic.
4K.
I like the aesthetic of Nightmare Before Christmas. I also like the way that they do the stop motion animation, all that stuff.
I'm
Really
not big on
appreciative
any
of
of
the
Tim.
art behind it.
I'm not big on any of Tim Burton's
Really? I like-
Halloween animation things. I
like
like more of
his
his live action stuff. I think Sleepy Hollow was good.
Alice in Wonderland was pretty good too.
It was.
Like it had again like a Wizard of Oz creepy
He has
vibe
he has
to
a
it, but it
dark
was dope.
aesthetic to everything he
He
does.
does. I like his style. It's uniquely his.
Well,
Yes.
I think his whole dark aesthetic comes from like his ex-wife Helena Bonham Carter just banging whoever she works with on set. I think
Listen, that would make you
that adds-
cry,
yes.
and you know maybe
that would add some darkness to my life.
That
Darkness.
might bring a little depression and
Yes.
darkness.
Like you
Yes.
just know that like she's sleeping with Brad Pitt on the set of Fight Club or sleeping with Johnny Depp and whatever they work together on. So damn, I
yeah,
mean, you know.
yeah,
Shout out to Tim Burton.
that could do it.
Thank
yeah.
you
Yes,
for your
yes.
creativity. Thank you, sir.
He really poured his soul into his craft.
Yeah, but I think that whole thing, like the supernatural stuff, like The Conjuring, The Grudge, any of the movies
Yep.
you recommend, Japanese horror is like a whole nother genre.
Yeah, it's a whole different because
it's just spookier because you can't do anything if a spirit comes for you.
yeah, and a lot of it,
Michael Myers comes for you. Hit him with
Yeah.
a bat. Keep hitting him. Hopefully,
Right.
cut his head off. Cut his arms.
Or you can essentially outrun him if you don't.
Unless he does the
If you don't
Jason
fall.
fall. Jason is
Yeah.
gonna catch you.
And stop hiding in closets. Stop it. Stop fucking hiding in closets.
My mom's boyfriend could do the Jason walk. No matter how fast I ran from him, he would catch me and beat my ass. Like, there's nothing I could do. There's nothing I could do. Shout out to Donnie Blessing.
Yeah,
I don't know how you did it.
yeah, it's interesting because America, we don't have like those legends to have those horror movies.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the Japanese movies are based off of their myths and their legends and
Right.
bits of their religion and things like that. So it has an actual level
What the
of
hell's the name of that?
grounding.
What's the name of that? Oh man, you just reminded me of the Japanese. It's literally the concept behind it is horrible, but because you're right, because Japanese people live in cities.
Yes.
A lot of their urban legends are urban. Like
They're urban
they take
myths.
place like it's
Yeah.
not like
Yes.
it's not something that lives in the woods.
What was
It's
that one show that it was not Mythbusters, but he would go out debunking legends. And he went after the Chupacabra. He went after the Jersey Devil. He went after Josh Gates.
Okay,
Josh
yeah.
Gates. Yeah. That was a good show too. And what I liked about it is like, it was kind of whimsical. Like he's like,
Yeah.
listen, we know it's not there, but we're gonna indulge the locals. We're gonna really look into it, and we're gonna do our best to debunk it for these people.
Because when you are looking at that,
Yes.
it's cryptozoology. Every now and then, they do find that some of these legends end up being real. So, like,
Right.
for as many that's bullshit, which is like 99% of them, you
9.5,
do
yeah.
get that one every now and then. Like, oh shit, we found something that matches the thing that they're talking
Right.
about in this weird town in the middle of fucking nowhere.
yeah.
so teketeke, Teketeke
Is that the bird-looking one?
This is a Japanese urban legend about the ghost of a schoolgirl who is said to have fallen onto a railway line where her body was cut in half by a train. She is a vengeful spirit who lurks in urban areas and around train stations at night. Since she no longer has a lower body, she travels on either her hands or her elbows, dragging her upper torso and making a scratching teketeke-like sound. If she encounters an individual, she will chase them down and slice them in half at the torso, killing them in a way that mimics her own demise.
Damn, I went to school with that girl.
There's a movie, a Japanese horror movie called Teketeke. It is fucking horrifying.
Damn.
Like, there's literally people walking, and all of a sudden, this spirit, like this, with her literally girl from The Ring, but think worse. She like rises up from the darkness on her fingertips, and she is so fast. You can't even outrun her. She starts going. It's fucking. As soon as she grabs you, it's like instantaneous. She grabs you and just rips you in half. I was like, I remember watched a little bit of it online. I was like, fuck this. I ain't doing this to myself. I'm not doing this to
I
myself.
can't. What about like the spoof horror films? I like
movie?
Scary Movie.
Scary Movie,
Speaking of
yes.
The Ring, I love that part when she's crawling out of the TV. She's like, "Oh hell no!"
Yeah.
Pulls up her sleeve and she's like bobbing and weaving, jabbing, and beating the shit out.
Yep.
Kind of a spoof horror movie, and a movie my brother Shay, shout out to you, recommended to me was Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Never seen
It started out as a horror movie, and
Yes.
like literally Chris Hemsworth's in it,
Uh-huh.
and you think it's gonna be this like scary movie. It takes such a hard left turn. I don't even want to ruin it for you guys. You guys need to watch it.
I
Like,
think
Cabin in the
I've
Woods.
seen it, and the other kid in it is the guy from Boy Meets World, right?
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
gets
I've
into
seen
like
it.
this weird Lovecraftian old
Not
god
the nerdy kid, the cool kid. But
secret
the
society thing. It's amazing.
Okay, all
Like
right.
you end up in this cabin, like it's kind of a game show weird thing going on.
Yes.
It's nuts.
Okay,
The twist, it's a twist like no other twist.
I like a good movie with a good twist in it.
You're gonna be sitting there after the credits roll, and I guarantee you're gonna be going, "What the fuck just happened? What just happened to me?" Because I don't know how to feel.
Now,
I loved it. I loved it.
even though I don't get into deep horror, I will say I love vampire and werewolf mythology.
Yep.
So I will watch those kinds of movies and TV shows to no end. I mean, huge on
Well-
Buffy, huge on Angel.
Both of those things, vampire and werewolf horror, are inspired by real life things,
Yeah.
Yep.
like
yeah.
people's mental instability at the time of the full moon. Thus, the term lunatic.
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing too. And forgive me because I don't remember
Rabies.
everything about
Rabies
this.
also could have contributed to the werewolf
Yes.
myth.
Well, there was a town that lived by, I believe it was like mushrooms that they were taking
Oh,
it into their.
Are you talking about the
food.
witch trials with the ergot? It was ergot
Yes.
poisoning. So it was, it wasn't even necessarily the mushrooms. It was the grain. So if the grain is stored,
Was this United States or was it?
Yeah, we
This
talk
is
about
what contributed to the Salem trials.
Yeah, so this is what they believe happened with the Salem witch trials. So if you're storing grain improperly, it can grow a type of mold that causes hallucinogenic
Oh, Jesus.
properties. So they believe that
Tripping balls.
that
Yes.
started, and then it became from there. It's just hysteria, and everybody else is just following suit and pointing fingers because they don't want to be the next person that
Right.
gets pointed at.
Also, there was a lot of jealousy in the Salem witch trials. You could just call out someone because they were hotter than you.
They just go, them, they're a
Bullshit.
witch. They did a thing.
Yeah.
And their whole ideology behind the trials was fucked up. It's like, okay, tie a bag of rocks to him. If he sinks to the bottom and dies, he's innocent. If he floats, he's a witch.
Yes.
I mean,
So they weren't
What?
the smartest motherfuckers.
no, they fucking were not. How that? Thank God for gunpowder. 'Cause we never would have took this land from the Native Americans.
Fuck,
Never,
man.
never.
Craziness.
Jesus God.
All right, guys. So to wrap it up in closing, right?
Are we wrapping it up?
We can keep going a little more. I'm down.
I mean, we just got to the vampires and werewolves.
All right, so bet. All right,
keep going.
Here's what we'll do. So instead of wrapping it up,
I'm having fun, man. What the hell?
okay. As far as your vampires, your werewolves, you have those would be called what? The antagonists.
Oh, you're asking the wrong person.
Well,
what?
those are the villains, right?
You got the
It
antagonist. and
depends on what you
protagonist.
watch. I mean,
Right.
if you watch Twilight, they sparkle. And
Okay,
they're the good
all
guys.
right. So I was gonna say,
So-
who would be your favorite of the monster hunters? Like for me, Van Helsing. I
Legendary.
loved watching
Geralt of Rivia.
and even Hugh Jackman did the great Van
He did.
Helsing movie.
He did.
I really liked it.
How about that? Let's start with the werewolf and vampire genre. We'll start with what's your favorite vampire movie?
Okay, favorite vampire
All time, what would you pick?
Oh, shit.
I would have to say
And don't-
Interview with
don't-
a Vampire.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually fully
seen it?
watched that movie.
Because I think it really it
Excellent
deep
book,
dives
though.
into
Excellent
like
book.
the more traditional, like there's kind of like a sexiness to the whole vampire lifestyle, which
Yeah.
is what draws people in.
And putting Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and all them people in there. Shit, there you go.
they were
Don't get
regal.
more sexy than that. You know what I'm
They
saying?
were elegant. They were high class, but they were also murderous.
Yes.
Like sick individuals, and like even like the aspect that Tom Cruise, or was it Brad Pitt? I believe it was Tom Cruise. Like he wanted the little girl to be pristine.
Yeah.
But he fucked her up because she's perpetually this evil little girl for the rest of her life.
I went to a vampire bar in New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
good
gotta
times.
be kind of spooky too.
Check out the dungeon if you're in New Orleans. Trust me.
But I think as far as like the traditional, the classy, that version of a vampire,
fucking
I
movie.
really loved that movie. It really drew me into the myth and the lore of the vampire.
Yeah.
What about you?
Me personally, I'm gonna go with Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins, and
That's a great one.
oh my God, I can't remember his names. He played in Book of Eli. He was Commissioner Gordon in the Nolan Batman
James
films.
Earl Jones.
Close. His name will come to me and it's going to bother me. But anyway, he plays, it's literally a retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And the shoplifting lady, Winona Ryder's in it. It's just, it sticks to the... It sticks to the original book really, really good. It sticks to the original book good. And I think it did a good job of being dark, creepy. It really captured the Victorian era. I think it kind of like what the darkness that surrounds the Interview with the Vampire. If I had to pick, with it, I'd go with that one. That's an excellent vampire.
Yeah, that's a fantastic one. I actually really like.
And
that
it
one
sticks
as well.
with Dracula. It sticks with the whole Halloween theme. Right?
Yes.
You know, he's right up there with Frankenstein and the werewolf. And all that
The real story of the real Dracula is pretty fucking crazy too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know
Vlad
about
Tepes.
it so much. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad the Impaler, yeah.
Impala.
Yeah, he was.
Vlad the Impala.
Yeah, he drove around with that fuzzy dice.
Yeah.
He knew his way
Purple
around
plush
a
velvet
pointy
interior.
stick.
Yeah.
Not somebody you want to meet.
No.
Well, there's all kinds of stories about that motherfucker. The one Sultan went to visit him and didn't take his turban off at dinner, so he nailed him to their head. Fuck. He was a psycho.
Yeah.
The actual Vlad the Impaler
Well,
was a
he
psycho.
But why go
devised-
visit him?
He devised.
Why go to his house?
He devised a way to
You're right.
run a spear through your intestines all the
through
way
you.
up,
Out you.
so that you would stay alive, and
You
then he
marinate in the sun for a while.
put you out front.
Fuck.
And it's a lesson, you know?
Yeah, it is a lesson.
You stick
Don't
down
come to my house.
Yeah, you put that on. Yeah, there you go. What about you, Ed? What's your favorite Bloodsucker movie?
I think I gotta go with Underworld.
Okay.
That's a
I
good
thought you were
one,
gonna
too.
say Lost Boys. I thought you were gonna say
Lost Boys is a good
It
one
is a
too.
good one.
Yeah.
But
Fright Night.
the first one that comes to mind for me is definitely Underworld, and you do have some of that where the vampires are trying to uphold, I would say, more than actually have this higher level of elegance and everything. But it's almost like the downfall of their illusion that they keep themselves, that they're a higher
Right.
order of being, and they're so grand, but they're on their way down because
Yes.
everything they did is kind of literally coming back to bite them.
Yeah, and it's-
Skyrim had a really good vampire archetype, too.
Oh,
It did. Yeah, it's one of the best
Skyrim
storylines
had
in
a
there.
very good.
It's just a shame that the vampire in the game wasn't as good as I thought it could be. Like I didn't like using the vampire in battle as much as I did my regular character.
yeah, the werewolf I thought was a better arc. In Dawn
but the vampire storyline was amazing.
Yeah.
yes,
And the vampire
Lord
follower
Harkin. Lord
was
Harkin's
great.
a badass enemy.
And gotta also highlight the Halloween episode of
Supernatural.
yes,
The black and white one.
Yes.
With the beer fest.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god. If you haven't seen it, probably hands down the best episode of Supernatural.
it's a you can watch the episode on its own. It's worth a
Yes.
watch.
I have a group of friends that watch that. I'll tell you later.
Let me tell you though, that episode, if you watch it and you don't decide I'm gonna watch this show, I can't talk to you anymore. The episode is
All right, we'll
that
see. We'll
good,
see.
and
So
we're not gonna
fucking
spoil
good.
it for you. We're gonna come back in and check in on you, not Firefly-esque, because he's not gonna
Still,
watch
still,
the fucking
no,
stuff.
still no Firefly.
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. I can't say
Yeah.
it.
No entiendo. No,
Oh, tú entiendes. You understand.
all right, since we did the whole Fanged, what's your favorite werewolf movie? Since we're touching on
Favorite
this great divide.
werewolf
Werewolf
movie.
and vampires is kind of like the goth version of Star Wars and Star
Okay,
Trek.
all
Like,
right,
you gotta
yes.
pick a side, you know.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna go a different direction.
Can't use a
altogether.
movie you already used, so you can't use Underworld
Nope.
sequel.
Yep.
Teen Wolf
With Michael J. Fox.
with Michael J. Fox.
That is your favorite werewolf
Fuck
movie.
yeah!
I can't
And I'll
believe
tell you
this
why,
shit.
because I love Michael J. Fox. I think he's a great actor. I always loved anything that he was in. I thought he was hilarious in the role. It wasn't something that was taken too seriously. It was the first time I was like,
That is a good movie.
It was a funny movie. He's surfing on the car. as a werewolf. Like, I mean, come on. Like, he's playing basketball. You're a werewolf and you use your fucking powers to play college or high school basketball. I mean, come on. It was so absurd. It was hilarious.
Oh, it's like a parody of like all those horror movies from the early 60s, late 50s. Like, I was a teenage werewolf.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a teenage Frankenstein. Like, they literally existed. I remember them on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yep. So Teen Wolf, 100%.
The remake was pretty solid as well. It did
not seen
veer off from time to time and kind of
Yeah.
There was a couple of times where you run into the moment of you like, just goddamn, just go full power already.
Yeah.
Stop. It's like, give Superman his fucking suit already when you're watching Smallville. There's so many times you're like, just let him go.
Do it. Just do it.
Please. It's a deserving moment.
Yes. But go ahead.
But there's a show on Netflix, Hemlock Grove.
That was dark.
I've seen it
dark.
advertised.
That was dark.
It
That's
does go.
good.
It does go against my not liking of horror stuff because
Yes.
the transformation of the werewolf. Just look up that. It is slow. It is
Gruesome.
brutally painful. And when he's done, I don't want to.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
have you guys ever
it's
seen
so good.
Have you guys ever seen
It is a fucking weird show.
It is, but
a
it's
super weird show
it's
as well.
weird enough that it drives you in because that's the only thing that keeps me into the horror arcs is that like the storyline's got to be great, actors, actresses got to be on point, and then I'm like, okay, now I can sit through this.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the transformation of the werewolf in
And it's
American Werewolf in London?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's wild.
Literally one of the greatest. Yeah.
Then you would appreciate what they did in Hemlock Grove, knowing
Yeah.
that you've seen that. Yeah, you
the,
really would.
The guy that recently did it is
Okay.
one of the characters.
It what?
Wait, so
Did
the
it
actor
what?
Oh.
that played him,
Yes. So
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Wow.
So he's in
Okay.
that show.
It what?
It.
It
Clown?
It what?
The clown that touches kids, lives in sewer.
It what?
The clown that's
Clown?
an
Listen,
alien.
clowns don't
and-
scare
Yeah.
me. Clowns don't
Yeah.
scare me. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah, you don't use the fact that they made that clown like an alien
It's-
spider monster. I was like, come on,
Yeah.
You're like,
come
yeah,
on, Stephen King.
You're fucking reaching.
Well, it's an evil woman as well at the same time. So even though it looks like a guy, it's technically an alien female
evil
blah,
woman,
blah,
spider,
something or other.
All right. What about you for werewolf?
For me, there's very few. Yeah, see that's the thing. There's more good vampire movies than there are good.
This is true.
Werewolf movies. There's a lot of shitty werewolf movies. There's 3 that come to mind that are actually good. Dog Soldiers is one. If you're into English movies,
Never seen that.
It's about a special forces team that gets stuck. It involves werewolves. It's actually
Okay.
a decent movie for the budget. It's actually a decent horror film. It's called Dog Soldiers.
All right.
American Werewolf in London is fantastic, but it's not gonna take my lead because of what scared me. American Werewolf in London is number 2 for me.
All right.
Number 1 is gonna be The Howling.
Ooh.
Not any of the 6 or 7 or 8 fucking remakes. I'm talking about the original Howling in the 1970s.
Nice.
This movie, like the serial killer Eddie in the movie. Yes, yes. The serial killer Eddie in the movie when he transforms for the first time on camera.
It's wild.
Okay, if you're talking about the scariest experiences as a kid,
Yeah.
seeing that shit on the Sci-Fi Channel fucked me up. I mean, that they made that transformation horrifying.
Nice.
Like it's instantly implanted in your nightmares, and the whole werewolf culture they created in that movie, it was just raw and feral and terrifying, and they made that movie scary. They did. That's a classic.
I will tell you this: as far as movies are concerned, I haven't really, like you said, seen too many great werewolf movies, but I have seen 2 really good werewolf TV series.
Hemlock Grove is the one you.
Hemlock Grove being one, and then the other being Bitten. I don't know if you've ever seen Bitten.
I have not seen Bitten.
And it's based off of just different packs of werewolves, and they're fighting for territories and the way that they go about it. You have your classic werewolves that are in packs, and they were thoroughbreds, and you know they're passed down from generations. And then you have what they call the mutts, where like somebody decided offhand,
Racism.
yeah, that they're gonna make these off-breed werewolves, and they basically are not allowed to have packs. They're not allowed to congregate, and then there's this big war between the pack wolves and then the mutts that they decide, you know what, we're fucking tired of being pushed around and not having a place that we could call our own. And the show, the premise is really good. The actresses and actors are really good in the show, and I really like it. They take it to a really deep level because, like, the Mutt are like, you know what? We're gonna start making werewolves out of the worst of the worsts, pedophiles, murderers, thieves. Like because they don't have any qualms breaking the rules. Like some of the rules for the werewolves were like, we don't do things that would draw attention to us from the public, and the Mutts are like, fuck that. Why?
Pedophile werewolf sounds like a band.
Bro, not any band
That I wouldn't listen to. That I wouldn't listen to.
Let's
I would never
clarify
listen
that. But yeah.
Not on this show.
Yeah. But like it really took a dark turn for it, and then it became classic werewolf versus Mutts. Liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty dope for a werewolf TV show.
I'm gonna have to take. I at least gonna have to take a look at Hemlock Grove.
Yeah, that you'll like.
I've seen that. That's in my recommended.
I
I haven't clicked on it yet.
Yeah, another show that has both a werewolf, a vampire, and a third, a ghost.
Yes.
And this is it's great. It's comedy meets horror.
There's an
drama.
English version and an American version.
Watch the American version. It's called Being Human.
Okay.
And it's basically a ghost, a werewolf, and a vampire trying to live together,
Roommates.
and be as human as possible. So they're just, we don't want anything to do with vampire culture or werewolf culture or being a ghost. And they try their hardest. But like,
The ghost would be easy to live with, right?
you would think. She causes a lot of shit because she's also becomes like what do you call that when like not a poltergeist, but she could steal people's bodies.
Oh, she possesses people.
She possesses people, and she starts causing problems with her possessions because the longer she does it, the more problems she causes supernaturally. But like,
she's a pain in the ass.
she is a pain in the ass. But so is the vampire, and so is the fucking werewolf. Because like you like them, you're like, they're doing it, they're finally doing it, and then he like takes 2 girls home from the club and murders them, brutally rips them apart, and then he wakes up in the morning like, oh my god, I can't believe I did it. I was like, come on, Aiden, you're a good guy.
The werewolf would be trouble to live with. Like,
Yes, because they have to lock him down, and like he's
you
wild.
Rip the house apart. Like,
Yeah, it's
That
good.
is the one thing that at least vampires, like, they don't wake you up in the morning. They keep themselves.
They sleep in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
their choice of they hang from the fucking ceiling fans
yeah.
and shit.
They never have bad breath. They hate garlic.
No, they don't eat garlic. No. They're like elegant and classy.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Werewolves, where they like they're caked in their own shit.
Fleas,
Like, yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Who likes fleas?
Always
Mange,
itching.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it was a very unique take on the different lifestyles and perspectives of the werewolves, the vampires, and they clashed with each other. They clashed clan-wise, but like that aspect that was unique to the show itself was they just wanted to be human, but they couldn't fight their natural instincts no matter how hard they tried. And that was kind of a cool twist to it, and the actors really sold that. Like I said, I murdered the 2 of them. I didn't mean to. You're like, oh, he's not a bad guy. That's the 3rd murdering this month.
There's not any.
He's down from 5.
He's okay. I hope his relationship really works out.
There's not too many spooky movies that are coming out recently. I mean, they're doing another Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I know.
Yep.
Halloween
Yeah.
Kills. I think they're Jamie Lee must. She
Yeah,
must-
I was done
she-
after Jason
They,
versus
they are
must have-
Michael
she
Myers.
must have
dragging
some,
that
yeah, she must have
property
some
out.
bills. She must
Yeah.
have some bills.
I mean, if you're her, right? Why would you say no?
Well, that's
Yeah, that's true.
actually one of Stephen King's, who I consider like one of the masters of horror, if not the master of horror. Stephen King, that's one of his fears, and it's the slasher theory.
Yeah.
They asked him what really scares him, and he said, we go to the movies to watch these horror movies. He's like, but like particularly the slasher films, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween,
Friday
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
Yes. What have you? Chucky, Child's Play.
Uh-huh.
He said,
Leprechaun.
Texas Chainsaw.
yeah. He's like, you watch these movies. He's like, and you see them. And the first time you see them, you're scared. And you're rooting for the people to get away. You
Right.
have this like anticipation when like, oh my God, I hope that girl makes it through the window.
Yeah.
Right.
He said, but then something happens. He's like, by the time we get to Friday the 13th, Part 3, Halloween
Yeah.
5, Child's Play, Revenge of whatever, Nightmare
Yeah.
on Elm Street 6, he said, we know the premise.
Right.
We know what happens. We know the characters by now.
Yeah.
At least the main character.
Right.
He's like, we no longer go to the movies wanting the people to get away.
Yeah.
He's like, you go into that movie.
Yeah.
You know they're all gonna die.
You know what's gonna happen. You're
Yeah.
going into this movie knowing you're gonna see people get brutally murdered. He's like, and you want to see the ways in which it is done. He said, and that scares me. And I was like, he's got a fucking point there.
Yeah.
Well, does that bring you to Final Destination?
Yeah, that you could actually say that. Yes, you're
Right.
watching a movie knowing people are gonna die.
Yep.
You want to see how they die.
Yeah, with the
Oh,
first
yeah.
one.
We're paying money and getting popcorn and going with our friends to watch people die in horrible ways.
With the first one,
Shit,
when you
I mean,
don't know what's going on, and it's the new premise, and it's like, wow, this is interesting. But yeah, by the time you're going into number 2, you already know the premise. You know what's gonna happen. A group of people are gonna avoid death, and then slowly, one at a time, fucking die anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
that's
one movie.
fucked up.
There's one movie coming out that if you want to look up the trailer for it, it looks like it has potential. It actually looks like it has scary potential.
Lamb.
No, not Lamb. I have seen that trailer. I'll be steering clear of Lamb this year.
It looks so bad.
Ironically, though, the name of the movie actually sounds similar to that. Though the movie is called Antlers, and if you have time, go on YouTube.
I believe I've seen something about it.
I watched the trailer. It just came out the other day, and because the movie's dropping in a couple weeks, I think a week or 2. It looks disturbing. It's got something to do with like a Native American legend.
Okay.
And the stuff I saw in the trailer and the little snippets, I was like, Jesus, like this looks like it may be like a scary dark film. I was like, okay, I'm on board.
All right, so let's pick not a normal werewolf, vampire, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. What other kind of a horror film or horror monster can you think of that just came out of nowhere and you're like, damn, that's actually pretty sick.
Like a
Creepy, creative.
like
Well,
an original one.
One that's
Yes.
popped up for me recently. It's a group, Slaughter to Prevail. It's their song Baba Yaga, which is essentially the Russian version of the Boogeyman.
Yes.
So it's like a crazy woman who snatches children, and she's like a cannibal.
Mm-hmm.
The video is fucking bizarre and creepy because
I'll be looking it up as soon as.
Yeah,
It's a really weird myth.
Yeah,
I've
cannibalism.
actually seen it.
Yeah.
fighting bears, Russian roulette. It is
Super Russian.
It is
Yes.
super Russian as
Russian
terms of
as a
video.
Drinking vodka.
Yep.
They are.
Yeah.
The dude's got a crazy voice too, because it's death metal. He's got what is essentially like the deepest voice in the concert. He has moments where he takes the mic away.
What's the name of the band?
Slaughter to Prevail.
Honors Prevail.
And he does like his low
Acoustic.
yell growl, and it is fucking ridiculous how deep it is. We like. Are people supposed to have a voice? Like, it sounds like a fucking animal.
I'm gonna have to.
It's
dig
absolutely
into
crazy.
this.
But
Baba Yaga.
yeah, the
Okay.
story of it when you go into it's really fucking creepy.
Creepy.
It's right up there with exactly what you expect coming out of Russia for like their
Witches
fairy
freak
tales
me out,
kind of
man.
yeah.
Witches are like right there with the paranormal.
Yeah, they definitely are. Yes.
Because she's just working her dark shit like in the the third Conjuring that's on HBO now.
Right.
The Devil Made Me Do It. It takes a turn. It's all about witchcraft and like it's just creepy as shit, man. Like
So fairies don't bother you as much?
like
What was that one show where they brought in fairies and destroyed
no
fucking show?
True Blood. They
True Blood.
They murdered it.
That show was
murdered
so
it.
great.
It started
It was
so
so
strong.
great.
Until they got like hillbilly inbred werepanthers. I was like, fuck.
You're like,
dude,
wait a
I'm
second.
done.
Is anyone human?
I'm
Yeah.
done.
Is anyone human?
The whole town. No one in that town. And the Werepanthers just fucking disappeared.
Oh my
Poof.
god.
It was a goddamn magic trick that they were gone.
A unique monster movie that came out of nowhere that I really liked. I want to say it was Lights Out or something. It was the name of it.
Don't know it.
Actually, you know what? No, a movie that's an original horror movie that I saw that's actually freaked me the hell out, and it was a completely independent film. It was on Netflix a while ago. Have you guys seen It Follows?
I
I
have
know
not.
the name.
Look up It Follows.
And
The
the-
whole concept of this movie, especially in this day and age with all the dating apps, is unreal.
Yeah.
It's literally
Sounds like a really, really bad girl.
no,
Right? Like-
kind of.
It follows.
It could be a guy or a girl. It's some kind of evil entity, and literally, you get cursed with this. I don't know how the hell it curses you,
Right.
but you get cursed with it. and it gets passed on by sleeping with people.
So it's an STD.
Movie starts out. I'll give you like a little thing. Movie starts out.
Digital STDs.
Girl goes on a date with this guy, and she shows up in the movie theater with him, and he's nervous as fuck. She's been wanting to go on a date for this guy forever, and when he actually shows up to the date, he's going like, he's looking around the theater, and all of a sudden like he like keeps looking down the aisle, and he asks her like a weird question. He's like, "Do you see that guy walking down the aisle right now?" And she's like, "What the hell?" He's like, "Come on, let's get out of here."
Right.
Like grabs her hand. Well, he takes her, ends up like hooking up with her, but when he hooks up with her, he drugs her. So they have sex, he drugs her, she wakes up, and she's like in a warehouse. She's fully clothed, but she's in a warehouse, and she's tied to this chair.
Right.
And she's looking around, and he's there. And he's like, "Come here." And he's like, he walks her, she's in a chair with wheels on. He wheels her over to the edge of this thing and looks down, and there's like a naked woman just walking through the parking lot of the building, the construction site, towards the building they're in. He goes, "Do you see that woman right there?" She goes, "Yeah, I see her." He goes, "I don't know how I got it, but I had to pass it to you." He's like, "And now you need to get rid of it." It's like an STD from hell. He's like, "You need it," and he's telling her, he's like, "No matter where you are, what you're doing, this thing is going to be walking towards you." He's like, "It can look like anyone, someone you know, someone you don't know. It can look like anything, but it'll be a person." He's like, "It can't change directions. It won't interact with other people, and it has to walk in a straight line, constantly staring at you." He's like, "Do not let it get to you." He's like, "Do not let it get to you." He's like, "If you sleep with someone else, it'll pass it on." He's like, "And then they have to keep going." He's like, "But if it gets to you, it'll kill you and then come back down the line for me."
Damn.
The concept of this movie is horrifying.
So you got to keep passing it down.
Wherever you are in person, wherever you are, there's something that will
Trying
look
to
at
kill
you.
you.
It sometimes looks like an old woman, and like no one else sees it. It'd be like a creepy naked old man shambling through the crowd, but he's always walking straight. And you do get to see in the movie what happens when it gets to someone, and when it gets to you, fuck that. Fuck that. Pass it on. I'm telling you right now, if I got that, I would hook up.
Pass it on.
I'm going to Lake Worth. I'm getting the nastiest hooker I can find. I'm making sure she's working overtime. Nah. $20.
Listen,
Come
pay
here.
for
Come
your
here.
next 10 days.
Yes.
Just go ham.
Here's $1,000. Go wild. Go to Miami. Go wild. Fucking live it up. Like get rid. Like no.
Yeah.
So.
All right. If I had to pull one out, it's a pretty old horror film, actually, and it was unique, and it's based in the city. Keanu Reeves is in the movie, actually, and it's this demon-esque. It's like a woman. She's on this bus, and the bus won't stop, or the people on the bus are gonna die because it's gonna explode.
I hate you. Fucking hate you. I hate
And
you.
she is horrible looking, and her acting wants you to vomit in the movie theaters. It's Speed with Sandra Bullock, that bitch.
It continues. I said the blind side. Earlier.
I know.
Fucking hell.
No, actually,
All right.
again, it's probably a cult classic. I was trying to think of the name of the movie. You guys might remember it.
Speed.
Roddy Piper is in it. He wore shades.
Oh, with the aliens.
Oh,
and
They Live?
Yes.
They Live. That to me is kind of. I know it's more of like
Sci-fi.
not a monster, but it's also sci-fi.
you can
but
count
like,
that. You can count that.
It's creepy because it's like they're walking amongst us.
Yeah.
You know, like
An invasion of the
everyday
body
people,
snatchers
like
type feel.
they're invading, and there's nothing you could do because you don't even know it's fucking happening.
That movie has one of the best lines in it ever. I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
Yes.
I'm all out of bubblegum.
And there are only some people that can pull that line off,
And
and it's got to be
Roddy
Piper.
Piper.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
It was one of those movies. I watched it. I loved it, but it also had like a spooky vibe to it because I'm like, fuck. That is probably one of the things I've had actual nightmares about.
Yeah.
Was like being like the last person alive.
The
and
last person
everybody
to
else
find out what the fuck is actually
is
going
like coming
on.
for
Yeah.
you, and you're like, fuck, and you're running, and you know what I mean? That's a kind of a spooky premise. That's good. Yeah, and it's not Sandra Bullock, but she definitely could have been the mother of said aliens.
Stranger things have happened.
Ooh, speaking of Stranger Things,
When's it
that's a
coming
good
back?
one.
When's it coming back?
That's a good show. Like it's we probably didn't even touch on like the whole like kind of I don't know if you can call them horror, but like Stranger Things.
Stranger Things is like an homage to every 80s horror movie.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
I love it. It's so good.
Would Goonies be classified as something like that, or is that more of an adventure?
Goonies is just like an 80s adventure masterpiece. I mean,
yeah, I thought that was dope.
unless you're afraid of pirates or like retards, then
Jesus Christ. And on that note, Eddie, cue the music. Well, thank you for joining us at the Sofa Kingdom podcast, and half of that shit is Ian's fault. You can find us on all your social media platforms on
Sofa Kingdom OFC.
and at YouTube channel.
Sofa Kingdom Podcast.
Yeah, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell me.
it makes a big difference. Please do it. Please
That's
do it.
right. Yes.
We appreciate your
Subscribe.
support.
Comment, notification bell.
Yeah.
There's like a dozen little things you can
Come
click
at
on.
us, and we still not have received confirmation that Steven Seagal wants to fight Ian. So
The gauntlet has been laid, Steven.
I think he's running scared.
answer the call.
Whose ponytail is better? Let's do this, Steve. We can tie our ponytails together.
Good shit, guys.
I'm sorry for the way.
Oh, that was fucking hilarious.
It just came out. I was thinking of sloth, and I was like, I guess he could be scary.